Welcome to the show. I am Brandon. The channel is Tech Chomper, and good, she can hear me now. It is never good when you live stream and have no audio. That is not what you were going for. So the channel is Tech Chomper on Facebook, and on YouTube is where you will find me currently. And this show is our weekly live stream Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central. Basically free tech support. I talk about things that I've seen that are interesting in the news, media that looked interesting related to tech, maybe gadgets that I found that were cool, and also answer any questions that any of you have. Pop them in the chat if you're trying to figure something out. Maybe you just need help with a computer build. Maybe you are curious about how to clean up spyware. Maybe you want to know what the dark web is because you want to hang out there. I don't know. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to explain things and help out. So that's the purpose of this show for the moment. I don't know where we're going with this. It's a growth opportunity as we work through this. Probably going to have some cool interviews coming up in the near future with some tech people. So just stay tuned. You never know. And yes, let's start back into it because you missed all of that. So Windows Update KB 5842. Mac users, I'm sorry you don't care about this, but for Windows users, there's been a search issue for like a year and a half since November 2019, driving me crazy when you search for something. You get the results, but then if you try to delete the search word and go back to view everything, does not happen. It's you got to back out of it and come back in. It's not a good situation. So that's been going on since November 2019. That update auto-installed because it's what it usually does, even if it's buggy. And so they finally have released a fix for that. It is not automatically installed unless you installed the beta of, I think, the new 21H2 version of Windows 10. I'm still currently running 20H2 as my version. And that one, basically, you have to go and there's going to be an optional update under your Windows updates that you've got to pick to install. And here I can show you the link here. I think I pulled it up 1 second ago and left it. And so, yeah, on this right down here, you will see. Oh, where did it go? There was the KB and I lost it. There we go. Windows 10 KB 5842. That's the one that you want to grab. It should show up in your Windows updates just automatically there as an optional update if you click install, which I did today. Fix the issue. Good again after only a year and a half. Thank you, Microsoft. Mac does it too, so get off your high horses, Mac people. They both have their issues. I don't know what's going on over there, but man, they take a long time to fix some bugs. Another thing that I saw this week that got a lot of press was the Facebook supposed hack. It was not a hack. It was not a data breach. It was just bots scraping for data, taking advantage of an old search feature on Facebook that allowed you to find friends easier and would allow people with bots to scrape email addresses, phone numbers, and birthdays. So maybe information of yours has been taken and could be out there. It's showing up on the dark web just now, and so that's why it's popping up all over the headlines. But it's old news from 2019 when the data was scraped from the site. Hello, Audrey. Thanks for stopping by. It's good to see you. Appreciate it. And so, yeah, the data was scraped back in 2019. If you are curious about seeing if you were hacked at all or had your information stolen or anything like that ever, a good website to check is the I Have Been Pwned, I guess. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. And I posted the link in the comments. I'm going to post it again in a second. I'm not even on the right page. Let me get to the Facebook page now and I can pull it up. So, yeah, there's a website here I'm about to slap in the comments that you can run either your name or your phone number through, and it will help you check and see if your data has been breached somewhere out there on the internet or scraped somewhere. It's a good way to check. It's a good thing to check every so often just to make sure, because we all live on the internet now. We all live on our devices, and there's definitely, if you hook something up to the internet, there is no guarantee against being hacked. There is no guarantee you couldn't get data stolen. It's just not a possibility, really. And the government, when they need to make sure, hey, Catherine, what's going on? It's good to see you too. Basically, I just lost my train of thought again. I'm going to stop doing that. So yeah, the hacks and stuff. The government, they basically will have computers, what they call an air gap, where they just completely sever the connection to internet for that network of computers. And that's really the only way you can guarantee safety. At that point, the only way people can really cause a problem is if they bring a contaminated or infected USB stick in with some type of code, physically plug it into a machine. Then yeah, somebody could get with you, mess up with your computer and stuff like that. But not really an issue if you're air gap mostly, unless people are bringing in rogue USB sticks, which is why they do it. So Facebook said they're not going to notify the 533 million people whose data may have been leaked out there or scraped and then distributed, because it's a year and a half old. They figure it's old news. They don't see the point. And apparently 32 million of those were in the US. So that's a lot of people is all I'm saying. That's like 1 in 10 Americans on Facebook that their birthday, phone number, and name, or no, birthday, phone number, and email. I'm sorry, name obviously is all out there. I don't know if that matters to you. It's questionable what people can do with information these days. They definitely like to try to open credit cards and do crazy things. You never know. So I'm gonna pop this URL up on the screen there for a second. There you go. Bam. That's the URL you can go to. Also, I forgot I can pop it on the screen. Next up, a lot of people that I work with have Dell computers, and sometimes they get jacked up. Maybe sometimes you inherit one for your mom or your brother or a friend who wants to retire their old Dell because they're a gamer and needs the latest, greatest Shazam to get busy with. So essentially, if you want to wipe those, the easiest thing, one of the things I like about Dells is that they do make several things easy. One of those is that you can download something called the Dell OS Recovery Tool. If you just Google that, you will find it. I'm not going to pull up the link. I think you're capable. And basically for Dell OS Recovery Tool, what they're going to do is you put in what's called the service tag that's on any Dell machine. It's going to build you an image of exactly whatever was on with the latest OS, so Windows 10 right now, and all the drivers and everything you need for your hardware. You just need a USB stick that's 8 gigs or larger, and it's going to build the whole image for you so that you can just stick that in the Dell, boot from it, and it's going to totally take care of the rest of that, which makes it really easy. Great way to reset a Dell for yourself, family, friends, whatever, if you find yourself in that situation and need to fix something up, you know. Another thing that a buddy of mine who was building a computer recently brought up, and I'm seeing all over the internet, is there's yet another video card shortage. So I don't know if this is the third or fourth one in the last few years. I don't know. There's runs on graphics cards now. So one of the big issues in the past has been any of the cryptocurrencies, which we talked about a lot on the last episode, maybe even partly on the episode before that. And cryptocurrencies use graphics cards to solve the blockchain equation, algorithm, whatever you want to call it, math problem, that is what tracks all of the things happening, all the transactions that are happening on whatever cryptocurrency network it's related to. And basically, those graphics cards, whenever Bitcoin or one of the others spikes and people think they can make a lot of money doing what they call Bitcoin mining, they will buy up every graphics card in sight, and so they get really hard to come by. And that's what's kind of fueled the last couple of shortages. Right now, there is actually a global computer chip shortage that's happening. It is not a great situation. Today, apparently, I believe Biden signed an executive order that they're going to spend the next 100 days reviewing the supply chains for computer chips and reviewing options for getting more manufacturing for chips on American soil, because they are getting that worried. Essentially, for the last few weeks, I've been reading about the automotive industry, which I think they said the average car uses between 100 and 150 computer chips now. That's crazy. There's that many computer chips in a vehicle, but that's where we are nonetheless. Probably way more in a Tesla. I can't even imagine. And so essentially the computer chips for the cars, they're running behind enough on those that many of the auto manufacturers now are actually having to throttle their assembly lines because they don't have the chips to complete the automotive builds that they're working on their lines. And a bunch of reasons for that there's chip shortages happening, one of which is obviously the pandemic that closed factories for a while in a lot of places where chips come from. And so they've had a lag in those supply lines that we're trying to play catch up from. And apparently another thing that happened was as demand dropped for computer chips, a lot of the chip manufacturers that were making computer chips for the automotive industry, which I think accounts for like 14% of all computer chips made out there or purchased, whatever. Essentially, the automotive companies stopped buying so many chips because cars weren't selling. The chip manufacturers shifted that production for automotive computer chips to other devices because laptops and smartphones and tablets went through the roof with demand. Everybody's working from home. Everybody's looking to get on some type of gadget. And so basically the demand for that stuff skyrocketed. And as that happened and the chips all went that direction, it takes a long time to retool and bring a factory up. So when the automotive industry now, which is booming again, selling a lot of cars as things have picked up and all the stimulus checks have gone out, they don't really have the buying power to demand more computer chips or really drive the demand, since there's such a small sector of computer chip purchasing, which is mostly dominated by computers and phones and stuff like that. And so essentially they can't get the chips that they need. And the mobile industry is also starting to experience some of these problems, because the shortage has just kind of been exacerbated as things have gone on, and there's been waves and more lockdowns places. And another thing that's happened is chip manufacturing requires a lot of water. You've got to wash the chips all the time, different parts, as you're etching them and manufacturing them and stacking layers of silicon. And so, or whatever material they're using now. I think now they're using a new material even. So essentially, they have to use a lot of water in manufacturing those. And in Taiwan, where several of those manufacturers sit, they are in a huge drought. Normally, they get a lot of tsunamis. And I guess tsunami season this last year was not very productive, which great. We didn't have tsunamis that caused problems, but downside is they didn't get all that rain that they needed. And so consequently, they, from what I'm understanding, some of the factories are having to hold off on water consumption. They're trucking in water for everybody there, and they're hitting basically supply line maxes on how much water they can truck in. And so that is resulting in more chips, a backlog on orders and shortages again. And so that's why I guess the US is getting pretty concerned. Is it's, we use computer chips in practically everything these days. I just saw something where IKEA is working with Sonos. If you don't know who they are, they make a bunch of speakers that will network together. You have a media player. It's kind of like Spotify, but they've got their own media player that will stream to all the Sonos speakers. You could pick groups of rooms or just single rooms, or build groups that are multiple different places, or play different things on different speakers. It's kind of just a giant smart speaker system that you can play a lot of stuff through. And they make everything from some lower end affordable ones up to very, very expensive higher end speakers. They've got kind of a range of stuff. But Sonos has apparently been working with IKEA, and they've already had a shelf speaker that they had made with them, and then a lamp, which the base of the lamp was a speaker and the top is a lamp. And I guess now they're partnering with them, and they're going to make speakers embedded in art. It is not clear whether that's going to be prints that are a pre-selected collection, or whether that's going to be like a blank canvas where you can pick your own art and have something printed on it. I speculate if they let you print on it, it will be much more popular than if you pick from a standard collection. But they're just putting technology in everything. So obviously the computer chips are such a valuable commodity that we need. I understand why they're worried about it, and putting in some resources to figure out what we can do to maybe manufacture more in the US or do something, because every company is looking for country is looking for computer chips now. So it's not like just us, and China's got a massive growing population of middle class people that are building buying power all the time. So yeah, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how they resolve that, what they do, but hopefully they'll come up with something, because man, we use a lot of them. So NVIDIA, AMD, NVIDIA, both of them are hit. It's not like you can dive to one of the other graphics cards to really find some reprieve somewhere. And apparently PS5s, which just launched, are also hard to come by. I've seen things for both the PS5s and graphics cards where there's lotteries going on at places like newegg.com. So you can enter your name if you're interested in buying one. And if they draw your name in the lottery, then you can go at your specific time and make a purchase. And if you miss the window, that's it. They'll send it to somebody else and let them make a purchase. So it is crazy. It's pretty intensely competitive right now. I don't know. The world is a crazy place all through 2020. The world is a crazy place again in 2021. Apparently, I don't really know when we get out of crazy town. I know places are opening, but I don't know when we get out of crazy town. Is all I'm saying. So what else could we talk about? I guess another thing that I saw that was hilarious and pretty cool actually is a product. It's called Cardlax. It's a terrible name. It was apparently a company name that was formed when they did a Kickstarter for a muscle stimulator, an electric muscle stimulator. And so they are now on their second Kickstarter. And I'll pop this on the screen here so you can see this for a second. They make an earbud washing machine, essentially like a mini washing machine for your earbuds. They are asking for $33 right now, I think, for their, let's see where It's at 33 bucks. I'm going to pull it over here. 33 bucks for the super early bird. And it is essentially a washing machine for your earpods. They've got really disgusting pictures of earwax. Makes you want to barf a little bit, but we got pictures of earwax all shoved in these AirPods to show you what happens. And essentially, instead of using a brush and Q-tips and all these crazy things, you throw them in this, use the little brush there. There's like a spinning brush, and you drill out the earwax, and then you throw that puppy in the washing machine, and it gets buffed out, I guess. And then the inside part is removable, so you can wash it. I don't know. Looks like a pretty interesting gadget. I'm always on the look for cool tech. I clean my ears, people, so I don't. Maybe if you wear your earphones all the time and you sweat constantly, you get more of those problems. Mine need to be wiped once in a while, but that level of earwax in those pictures is disturbing. I don't know what those people are doing to their ears. But they got a washing machine. Looks pretty awesome for 33 bucks to get them clean. I've seen also all through the pandemic the UV phone sanitizers or sterilizers, so you can drop your phone in a little wireless charger that'll also UV sanitize it or sterilize it and kill all the bacteria, viruses, germs, whatever. It's supposed to take it out so that you don't get yourself the COVID with your cell phone, I guess. I've never used one. I can't vouch for them, but it sounds like a great idea is all I'm saying. Hey, what's going on, Phil? What's going on in your world, man? Phil is a buddy of mine. He's got his own live stream. Stay tuned. And he is currently working on an awesome Batman documentary. You should definitely check him out. Phil Machi, Philmachi. And Stay Tuned is his, I believe that's still the name of your live stream. Is that right, Phil? Tell me that's the right name of your live stream. You didn't change it. Things are happening for him. I don't know. He's got collaborations happening, things are moving, things are growing for him. So I just want to make sure I'm not giving you the right name if I'm going to plug him, because that's a terrible thing to do, to plug with the wrong name. What kind of friend is that? It's a terrible one is what it is. Good grief. What other kind? I hear crying. It's not me though. So another really cool thing that's kind of tech, kind of not tech that I have been using a lot lately is something called the Rocketbook, which is pretty awesome. They are a reusable notebook that are some like polyester, I believe, coated paper pages that you spray a little water on and wipe it with a cloth and it wipes clean. And that's the name of the podcast. The live stream is Mario is Artist. I'm going to show it on the screen. There it is. It's Artist Conversations. That's the name of it, people. If you're looking for Phil, I recommend you check it out. It's entertaining. He's working on lots of cool stuff over there in the animation world. I'm not over there as much as I'd like to be because this sounds pretty fun, but I do a lot of tech stuff, so that's what I'm over here doing. So, yeah, the Rocketbook. The Rocketbook is this book that basically that part of it's all analog. You use it with the Pilot Friction, Frixion, because they want to spell it cool. The Pilot Friction pens, which is a line of erasable pens that use a gel ink that apparently when you erase on normal paper, it is not really removing the ink. It has this little rubber eraser that's using the heat and the friction, and apparently the heat and friction causes the ink to just turn invisible, so it doesn't exactly take it off the page. I guess you can still kind of see a ghost, but when you use the Rocketbook with the coated pages, it does wipe right off. I don't see any ink left or anything like that, so you get a good clean. But what's cool about them is that they basically, here I'm going to pop this on the screen and show you for a second because it's pretty rad. They basically have this book that, let's see if they've got a picture of the pages inside. This is the small one that I think is pretty awesome. You can find this cheaper, just in case you're wondering, people. But this has this little barcode down here, and they've got an app, and so it's kind of a hybrid between not tech and low tech and high tech, I guess. And the high tech part of it is the Rocketbook app that you use. You install this on your mobile device, and when you hold it over the page, the app will just automatically see that QR code. And when it sees the QR code, it realizes you're trying to scan one of their book pages, and will just make a page scan out of it, and it enhances the color and contrast and sharpens it up and auto crops and straightens. So you don't really have to do anything. You just point at the book and hold it kind of up at the right height or in front of it, and it'll pop the image. And then you can do as many pages as you want, build those up. And when you're done with that, you hit next, and then you can choose to send it to any one of, I think, 8 locations that they have. And each of the pages has a little series. I think you can see it in this. I'll show this again. Down here, you can see there's these little kind of symbols at the bottom of each page, and those symbols essentially you can assign them to whatever shortcut you want. You want them to go to OneDrive, you want them to go to Google Drive. Hey Subha, thanks for stopping by, man. It's good to see you. You can check one of those boxes, and rather than having to pick it when you scan with the app, it's basically just going to automatically pick that destination. And then they've got another cool feature for the titles on your notes or pages. If you put a double hash mark before and after some text, it will recognize that as the title. And it also does OCR. And so as it does the OCR, if it can see that between the hash marks, it'll just make that the title of the PDF that it's going to create and either email to you or drop into one of your file sharing services that you use, or file syncing, whatever you want to call them. And boom, it sends it out and you're good. So that's the high tech part of it. And I'm finding it really useful. Not just the act of the technology making it easy to PDF the stuff and save it off somewhere, but I like using a pen again. I've been writing with a computer or a phone or a tablet for so long. It's rare that I ever get to actually use my hands and move like I'm writing letters. And so there's something about that for your brain that is nice. Not that I don't love technology, because I use it all the time in all kinds of ways. But I think having something that's not tech occasionally, something that's more organic and grounded, is just really helpful to kind of keep you connected. I think having all this tech is awesome, but it can definitely make you crazy at some point if every device is kind of the same. I've had this conversation with Sheridan a lot about art. I like that, on tablets you can get a stylus and you can pick any paintbrush, you can pick any stamp or any design or anything you really want to do, and you can work with it, and you don't need to buy all these expensive materials, and you can save money and really do some cool stuff all with a digital medium. The downside to it, to me, and I think to any artist really, which I'm by no means an artist, but just thinking about it and then talking to a lot of artists over the years like Sheridan, you notice that everything is that same pen. And I think a lot of art for people is working with something that has some type of feeling to it. Maybe it's an old brush they've been using for years, and so they know just the right way to whip it to get the leaves like they want on a tree, or to get that detail on somebody's face, or just chalks or pastels. As you work with different things, there's a different friction to the way that any type of writing material interacts with the surface. And some of them roll easier, some of them have more grit feel to them, some of them are real smooth. And so I think that all of those things feed into somebody creating something in terms of influencing both how they're creating and kind of giving them parameters to work in. And so much of art is that it's finding rules that you don't break. You're only going to use these colors, and you're going to use this format, and you're going to only paint these subjects, and then you go and you make all the cool art you can do within that rule set. And that's true of filmmaking and so many other things. I'm sure, poems, there's formats for that. Whatever it is, it's about creating these kind of artificial boundaries at times if you don't have boundaries, or having the reality of a tangible material that you work with that has some type of a boundary to it, or a breaking point that you can't go past that limits or changes how you work with things. And so I personally find that I like some low tech along with all the high tech. I could obviously add another monitor to my computer to hold stuff, but I'm finding I really like having a pad just kind of there, easy to look at, one less thing blasting light into our eyes, because we have plenty of devices that do that are definitely affecting our sleep. So I just think things like this are really cool. I like to look for some solutions like that are just more hands-on. On MacBook under Finder, pictures, all I see is photo booth. The MacBook OS is Big Sur. On the MacBook Air, I don't have that problem. I will have to look that up. I have said before, I am definitely not a Mac expert. I can usually find answers to most questions, but I'm not as likely to have them right off the bat. I do have a Mac. I use one sometimes, but I use a PC far more, to be honest. I started in the business world, and so they use PCs mostly. The art departments always have Macs, or the advertising departments will usually have Macs with big screens, but everybody else is on PCs. The hardware's cheap. It's a commodity item, so you can run Windows on all kinds of computers from all years. So I do not have an Subha from Cuba who plays the tubas here. You can always count on Subha for some fun times. He has hilarious jokes. He's a funny guy. He's a musician. He's got some really awesome tracks he's putting out. If you post in the comments what your links are, Subha, I'll pop it up on the screen so people can go check your stuff out, man, because I really enjoyed it. And I don't have the links here in front of me or a Facebook tab open to show that stuff. But he is a super cool guy. doing some pretty awesome stuff. If anyone has a question on digital audio workstation, I'd be happy to answer, provide suggestions. Awesome. So we have a digital audio workstation person here. I have dabbled some in audio. I've definitely not done a lot of audio production on the PC side, working with audio for film stuff, any type of video projects, obviously mixing audio with music and vocals or music and people speaking, whatever, dialogue, all that kind of stuff I mess with. But as far as like mixing sound and making music with a computer, that's something I really haven't gotten into a lot. I've done a lot of other things on computers, from website design and Photoshop to oh, that's a long URL. I'm gonna show it on the screen for a second anyway. It's a long URL. That's a crazy one. Just know it's in the comments, is what I'm telling you, people. So go check it out in the comments, because you're not going to read that off the screen and type that in. I know you're not. Find it in the comments and click on it. So yeah, I have not done a lot of that. I've done a lot of field audio work when I was doing video and film production, and out recording lavs, holding a boom opping and stuff like that. But I have not done a lot with digital audio workstation stuff. That is the latest on my YouTube URL, he says. Awesome. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it, man. I'm going to go check out and see what else you got on there in case I've missed something, because I enjoy your work. It is fun. So what else could we talk about tech tonight? I think I had a buddy, give me a second here, that sent me a couple of questions late tonight that I was on a text I'm going to pull up here. He wanted to know if you want to get into animation or cartoons. He's looking for something that you could do with a one-person production. So I think we talked about this maybe a couple weeks ago. One of the tools that I think is really awesome is a tool called Adobe Animate. And what is really rad about it is that it actually uses facial recognition to animate a character face or whatever animation you want to use. You can use pre-built models that they have that you can customize. You can alter the look of. They also have I looked at comments and I lose my train of thought when I do that. I'll work through that at some point, people. I don't mean to lose my train of thought. What was I talking about? Somebody tell me in the comments, because I've blanked again. I know you can hear me. Just tell me what it was so I can get back on track, because I forgot what I was talking about, and that's a terrible thing to do in the middle of a live stream. No one's going to help me and tell me what it was, are they? Just going to leave me sitting here. That's all right. He can help with audio recording, mixing, and mastering. Future, he's got awesome skills over here. He can do lots of things. He's also got a SoundCloud link in the comments, so be sure to check out the SoundCloud link as well. He's loading it up. Adobe, thank you, man. I lost my train of thought. Adobe Animate. It was not on my main notes. It's on the phone. That's why I got a note list on my Rocket book over here right in front of me, so I don't lose my train of thought. I didn't get Troy's questions in, so that's what's happening. So Adobe Animate, you can pick from any of their characters. You can customize those characters and mix it up. You can also take, apparently, drawings. I haven't messed with this part of it, but you can take drawings or different things you've created and animate those as well. And it will do two things. You can either hook up a webcam, and then it will track your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your eyebrows, all your stuff. So as you express and do crazy things, your character in real time will do that. So you can either choose to record that and put it out at a later date when you edit it, or you can choose to do a live stream even and have it real time. They've gotten it so good that it can in real time actually animate you. So I could appear as a character of myself one day if I were to create that character, or maybe Sheridan will be nice and create it. She made a pillow of me once, and that thing's hilarious. So one day, maybe you'll get an animated version of me on a live stream, but you can animate whatever you want. Another cool thing it will apparently do is if you just want to manually move the character around a scene, but you want to have them speak matching to a script that you've written or some voiceover, you can take that script and you can record the audio with your voice, lay that audio track in with the script synced up with it, and it will try to move the mouth. It'll basically, if you pick one of the standard characters, it has different mouth positions that are pre-programmed, like an open mouth or partly open or closed, to represent the different shapes of your mouth you would make while you're speaking. And so the software can analyze an audio track and also the script, and it can basically go through and try to auto match the mouth and animate all that stuff for you if you don't want to use the webcam facial tracking and do it that way. That seems like the easiest to me, but I understand if you're just not set up for that or don't want to do that, then you could do it with a script and just some voiceover. And so basically, you can then tweak that if the mouth movement that it picks is not quite what you wanted or doesn't really look exactly like a good match. You can tweak that and make it better, which is really nice. So yeah, Adobe Animate. I'm a big fan of the Adobe package. I know there's lots of other stuff out there. I know some people hate the monthlies. I personally like having access to that much software because I think for $50 a month, roughly, you get access to pretty much every application Adobe makes. And I know I use Premiere, I use After Effects, I use Lightroom, I use Photoshop, I use Acrobat. So just all of those alone, if you're going to do like more than two, I think individual software packages, you might as well get the bundle because it just ends up costing you. I think it's like $15 per software package, I guess, or something like that. So once you get to three, if you just pay 50, you get, I think it's maybe 49.95, something like that. You get the whole bundle of everything. And so to me, that's a huge value. And unlike the old days where you had to wait for an update like every couple of years and pay thousands of dollars for whatever the big update was, which I just didn't ever buy it back then. It was too expensive. Honestly, I used other things like Paint Shop Pro and stuff. But with the subscription model, you're not out of pocket a ton, but there is a monthly that just goes forever. So I realize there's trade-offs, but I use a lot of the tools. I really like it. It's helpful in producing any content that I make, really, or editing stuff. And so, yeah, we use it a lot. I definitely think it's worth having as a subscription. Um, is there a graphics package out there that most commercials use? I'm sure that there is. I don't know what that is. I have not been working on a lot of the production film side for the last few years. I used to work on a lot of music videos, commercial shoots, I don't know, feature films occasionally, all kinds of stuff. And mostly these days, I've been doing a lot more IT work. The market kind of tanked for a while in Austin. I didn't leave, which most people left and went to either Louisiana or now over in Georgia working a lot. And I didn't really want to leave Austin. So basically, I went more back into IT work, which is what I was doing before all the video production stuff. And now I'm kind of moving back into doing more of that, all the YouTube and online stuff. And so I just haven't really dealt with those packages as far as doing graphics for commercial stuff. So I would guess, Photoshop is probably one of those things, but I don't have a better recommendation answer to that question, honestly. Supa wants to know, what microphone can I buy for the Canon EOS 60D? The Canon EOS can shoot high-def video in 1080. Are you looking for a wearable, like lavalier type microphone? Or are you looking for something that is a shotgun that you can pop on top of the camera and run around with it and get audio wherever you point the camera? Because I can recommend either one of those. Did you say you went to Georgia? I didn't. No, I didn't go to Georgia. I had a bunch of friends that were in the film industry here in Texas, and when the whole film industry jumped to Louisiana, which that's been several years old news now, it was there for a while. Back in the days of True Blood, when that was a popular show and stuff, they were filming like crazy in Louisiana. And then everybody up and jumped ship and went to Atlanta, and that was basically the boom town for a while. I don't know how much it's recovered there now, honestly, just to capture audio with a shotgun. So the shotgun that I like the most is, I think it's the Rode Micro. Give me 1 second, and I'm going to pull this up, and I can show you here. Yeah, the Rode Micro. Let's find it. Where's the Rode Micro? Is that the one? No, I'm going to pull it up for you here. Rode. Nope, that's not it either. Where's the Rode Micro? I know it's here somewhere. I'm going to pull it up here. I think it's this one. Let's see if I can find it here. Rode Video Micro. That's what I'm missing. So the Rode Video Micro is what I have. It is like under $60 usually most places. It is a super affordable microphone. I know they used to have them at Best Buy. They might still have those. But the Rode Video Micro, let's see if I can pull it up here and show you real quick. I think they've got it on their website. Video Micro. There we go. I'm going to pop this in this tab where you guys can see it here in 1 second, and I will show you this guy. Did that load up? We loaded up. So this is the Rode Video Micro over here. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. And I think they've got it listed down here. So it's this little guy that's sitting on top of the camera there. And it comes with this little furry windshield as well, and a little cable to hook up to your camera. I think it comes with a cable that only hooks up to the iPhone or Android phone, whatever. It hooks up to a mobile phone. It's a cable for that. It's the number of segments that are in the plug that convert it between stereo and mono. And so they've got a cable that comes with it that works with mobile devices, and then they've got an accessory cable you can get that will let you use it with other cameras. That's what I use with my GH5 and GH5S, and it is a fantastic little microphone. The little wind muff that comes with it, honestly, is great. It knocks down wind anytime we're out doing any kind of vlog videos or something and in a public location with lots of wind. I've never once heard any wind noise on that microphone. It doesn't need any batteries. It just pulls power off of the jack on the camera, so you can't ever forget to turn it on or forget to turn it off and kill the battery, which is really nice. Like I said, it's just cheap. It's like, I don't know, it's under 60 or 70 bucks, something like that. It's really affordable. Probably one of the most affordable shotguns, little mini shotguns out there. And honestly, it is really good sound. I mean, sure, there's better sound you can get with some of their bigger mics and their pro mics that are powered. But if you're looking for something that is affordable and just super lightweight to add to whatever rig you've got, definitely recommend the Rode Video Micro. That thing is my favorite go-to little mic that's just a little beast that's affordable. The little plastic mount, some people have said it's broken on them. I've been careful with mine, haven't really had any issues with it. The only trick to it, and there's like I have mine right here. I'm going to get it and show you. So this is the guy right here, this little microphone, and it's got a huge, huge furry on the thing. And basically on the back of it right here, there's these little notches in the wheel that tightens it to your camera. And so you mount this on your camera, tighten it up, and then you put the little excess cable in this notch here and kind of lock it into one of them. And once you do that, it makes this thing a lot more secure. It really kind of adds some extra stability to the mount on it. I don't know. It's just a great little mic. You got an I'm the real Aquaman. I wish I'm in no physical shape like the Aquaman. I wish that I were. But we're working on that. I've been exercising a lot lately. Got the Apple Watch we talked about a while back. That's been super motivating. If you're looking for a piece of tech that is motivating, I definitely like the smartwatches lately. I have not used the Android ones, but they are basically just a really great reminder to work out in a lot of ways and take care of yourself. I used a Fitbit years ago, and that thing was pretty cool, but it felt pretty basic. It tracked, like a pedometer, and then tracked your heart rate during workouts and stuff. Also tracked your sleep. I have mixed emotions about that because all it did was make me sleep worse when I realized I wasn't sleeping on nights. Then I just obsessed about it. But the nice thing about the newer things like the Apple Watch with fitness is that they're really good about kind of gentle reminders. I love all the built-in stuff. It asks me to stand up and breathe periodically throughout the day, or stand up and breathe. To breathe, it also asks you to stand up as a separate thing to make sure you stand up at least 1 minute of every hour. It reminds you for your goals for calories and for walking. And it's nice too, as the night's winding down. Sometimes I've had a busy day. I intended to get out and go exercise and just have not had a chance to do it because maybe the kids are choosing not to go to bed for the umpteenth night in a row, and it's getting late. And I start feeling anxious about, man, I got to get my walk in. I'm going to get tired. I'm not going to get to bed. But before I even get there, the watch will start reminding me gently early on, like maybe 6 or 7. It'll be like, hey, you only need a brisk 22-minute walk to meet your fitness goals for today. Are you down? You want to go do it right now? And so I don't know. It's nice. It's nice not to have any person that has to be tasked with bothering me for that stuff, and just have a device that can just remind me to take care of it. And it is helpful that it's just little subtle reminders, like for meditation, for breathing, for exercise, for just taking care of yourself and tracking your fitness goals. And so maybe I will look like Aquaman thanks to the Apple Watch. No, it's not sponsored. I just think the thing is pretty cool. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah, what other tech do people want to talk about? Pun for your audience. Oh, dear. I'm just going to pop these on the screen so we can look at it together. Why did the MacBook user work in the dark? Because he didn't want to go anywhere near the windows. That's that's what I'm talking about, people. That's the kind of quality you're going to find with Suba all the time. So if you enjoy a good pun, he is your man. And I obviously am a pun lover. Sheridan is a pun lover. We pun each other because it's just a good time. But you definitely, if you are a pun person, you better expect to get some eye rolls because there's some very unappreciative people about puns out there. I don't know what the thing is with people being grumpy about puns, but man, they get grumpy about puns sometimes. Just, the size, it's rough. I know you've seen it, Subha. Every pun maker suffers that sometimes sooner or later. So it is 7:48. I usually wrap up about 8. I've covered, I think, most of my material. What else did I have from Troy? Did I have another question? Because I'm looking for questions. I got some other Mac questions here. I don't have the answers to these Mac questions. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not a Mac expert. I can usually find my way around like I can any tech problem by doing some research and figuring it out and reading some different troubleshooting forums. But I'm not as quick with Macs as I am with Windows in terms of just like, bam, here's what you got to do to fix that up. But I will look these answers up and get back to you guys who have submitted questions, and gals, and whatever non-binary. I'm not here to exclude. You can identify as whatever you want. It makes no difference to me, is what I'm saying. I'm just here to help people. So if you're interested in that, please always hit me up with questions. And as I've said before, if I don't know the answer to the questions, I will look them up and get back to you as soon as possible. Either in between, if it looks like something maybe I can help and send you a quick answer, or bring it up if it looks like something awesome that can benefit a lot of people, then I will bring it up in the live stream as well. So yeah, any other questions people have? I'm always trying to look for new tech, find new solutions for things. I know I just read recently that TP-Link, I don't know how many of you are into gigabit versus 10 gigabit Ethernet, but 10 gigabit Ethernet has been cost prohibitive for the most part for a very long time, especially over copper. And so that's the typical Cat6, Cat6A. That's the typical kind of wire that you're going to find if you're installing the latest and greatest copper. And it's just been exorbitantly expensive for copper switches. TP-Link, though, has a new 10 gigabit switch coming out, which if you are a video person like myself, I have a massive server full of storage from all kinds of stuff, from family videos, video production footage, our movie collection, and things that we've ripped into there, music, everything else. Basically, with that massive amount of storage, what is this question? What's your experience with off-brand batteries? Do you recommend? Ooh, I'll get back to that in a minute. So when you have a massive amount of storage, you're moving around lots of data. I definitely max out the gigabit Ethernet. Your max throughput on gigabit is going to be 100 megabytes, roughly 110 megabytes a second in the real world, maybe a little faster. But a lot of the newer hard drives, like the Iron Wolf NAS drives from Seagate, will give you 200, 225, 230 megabytes a second of throughput. So across a network, you are going to hit a bottleneck if you're on gigabit. And like I do, you have a media share on the server that stores all your footage for editing, and then you work on your workstation, which has your NVIDIA card or whatever to accelerate things. And so it basically will give you a lot faster throughput, like those drives are local on 10 gigabit. But those switches for, maybe even an 8-port have been hundreds of dollars, $500 for a switch that's copper. And TP-Link has some coming out that are supposed to be there are screaming babies, people. I don't know what's happening. They have one that's coming out of 5-port and an 8-port that are both 10 gigabit desktop switches, which look to be very affordable. I think they're going to be in the sub $200 range, maybe even like just over 100. I can't really tell from what I'm looking at, but they're supposed to be very affordable. And they already have some 10 gigabit Ethernet cards for the desktop that are PCIe cards that are pretty cheap. I think those are $100. So presumably you could get maybe 3 devices on a 10 gigabit network, or 2 devices and a switch for maybe under $300, which would be killer. I would love that, because I definitely move a lot of data around. Subha says, I had an HDD for my Windows 10 64-bit. It took about 4 minutes and 30 seconds to boot. I switched to Samsung, and the boot time went down to 5 to 10 seconds. Yeah, I tell people that all the time. SSDs are the single major biggest upgrade you can do to any old computer. I've got people still that are running 4th gen i7 or i5 machines, which those are 7 years old, give or take now. But honestly, on a lot of those, you can get them up to 16 gigs of RAM, and some of them shipped with 4, which is just really not enough. I think that's a bare minimum for Windows 10 that it'll boot with, but I wouldn't recommend that you run Windows 10 on 4 gigabytes of RAM. That's just not a fun thing to do. So I would say 8 gigs minimum if you just do basic stuff, like maybe you open Facebook or email and that's about it. If you're doing a few other things, 16 gigs is great. I run 32 gigs in my workstation and edit 4K video on here. No problem, runs super smooth. But 16 gigs is plenty for most people, even as a power user, if you're doing a lot of stuff. And so on those old 4th gen i7, i5 machines, you put 16 gigs of RAM and an SSD, which Samsung is my favorite brand as well. Their Evo drives are just a killer value. If you want the Pro drives, I think you go from a 3 to a 5-year warranty if you want the extra warranty. But unless you're just hammering your SSD, maybe using it as a data drive in a workstation that's constantly reading and writing every day and changing data, then the Pro is going to give you a longer lifespan. But for the average user, the Evo is plenty to get you through a lot. Yeah, 16 gig good for video and audio, Suha says too. I agree with that. They say if you're doing 4K, most things say 32 gigs. I've even seen some say 64 gigs, which I think is way overkill for 4K. But I have seen my renders go faster when I have more RAM. When I've used Handbrake for rendering things, it's definitely seen an improvement with more RAM, getting up to 32 from 16. So there's some benefits of having more RAM for sure as you go up the ladder. But as you look at the budget, yeah, on the older machines like a 4th gen, 16 gigs of RAM and an SSD, and most people are happy for a couple more years right now, unless you start doing something crazy new you haven't been doing before. So yeah, they're drastically faster. And and Subha says 740 megabytes for the Evo speed. I use one of their NVMe drives now, and those guys are on the order of 2,500 megabytes a second. So they are just drastically faster, and that makes my computer boot in like 5 seconds or something, 4 seconds. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Apps all pop open. Anything you're trying to do to cache data, there's never a bottleneck. I love the NVMEs. They're just the most expensive of the storage. So typically on a workstation, I'll make an NVMe. If I'm doing like an editing workstation, I'll do the C drive as an NVMe. I will do the cache drive, that's the second drive. If you had the budget, you could do an NVMe. I don't know that you'll see a major benefit. I usually go with just a standard SATA SSD for that, like an Evo SATA. And then for the data drive, I will usually do something like either an Iron Wolf or just the Seagate Pro desktop drives are great. I've got an 8 terabyte Seagate Pro. Those get about 250, 240 megabytes a second of throughput. So plenty to have multiple streams of video coming off the 8 terabyte, and then plenty of bandwidth on the SATA SSD for caching any files in Premiere or whatever you're working on, and then the NVMe to keep all the apps running super fast. And so that's kind of my go-to as a setup for any type of workstation for the system disk, caching disk, and footage or data disk. And they run super smooth that way. I really don't ever have hiccups on anything from that. FYI, if you have members who have AT&T internet, they get HBO Max as part of the service. Well, that's awesome. I'm popping that on the screen because that's good to know. I did not know that was a thing. And I think they just rolled out on HBO Max. They had the simultaneous release between theaters and the HBO Max platform for, what is it, Kong versus Godzilla, the new 2021 movie. I have not seen it yet. I've had some family see it that were not thrilled, but they were not the audience for that movie. They don't even like monster movies. So I don't know what they went to that monster movie. But definitely want to check that one out. That looks kind of entertaining. And I've been a fan of Gojira since it was Gojira. Now we've had 4 movies made in Hollywood for Godzilla. They're not even making them overseas anymore. We're just taking over whatever franchises we can. So that's happening. I didn't like the first one that they made, so I don't know. I haven't watched the last few American ones, but I'm definitely a fan. Can you please tell us what work do you do? Are you a storage or network engineer? I am neither, I guess. My background is that I used to work in tech, basically went to college at UT back in 99, graduated with a degree in MIS, so Management Information Systems, databases, and went to work for 3M for about a year contract doing Oracle work and also managing their rhythm demand planning database system that ran the factory lines. And so essentially I did a lot of data massaging and management moving between systems, ran the major backup restore system that had a tape silo up in Minnesota that I could spin up and get restores done. Left there and went to National Instruments here in Austin and worked there for 2 years. Worked on Oracle and Lotus Notes and had 5 different databases I managed, one of which was their newsletter engine that was responsible for sending out 130,000 emails, which was a lot back then in 2002. I realize now there's people get millions, but we were sending out that stuff. It was all written in-house, and so did a lot of Lotus Notes programming, some Oracle programming as well. After that, went into doing website work, helped my ex basically build online stores using a product called Miva Merchant. I think they're still around. And writing custom Miva script plugins to customize the store, as well as purchasing other ones and implementing, and doing photography for all of that. And then later went to a film class that was like a 16-week film class at the Austin School of Film. I think that's right. Maybe I'm saying the wrong name. Sheridan knows the name. I think it was Austin Filmworks. It wasn't the Austin School of Film. Austin Filmworks was Steve Mims. That is gone. He now teaches at University of Texas, but took that class, got into video production. I've done a lot of that. I guess before college, worked at Wallingford Electronics, building computers every day, basically pulling bins of parts that were for custom builds, build them up, put them on the burn-in rack, let them run software to test them for a couple of days, and then box them up and send them out the door. And started working on computers when I was a kid. My first computer was an IBM PC Junior, and before that, my dad was on a Zenith Data Systems that I was working with. So just a wide range of tech stuff that I have worked on, all kinds of different things. He did MySQL and PostgreDB. Nice. Yeah, I've messed with MySQL some for sure back in the Linux days when I was, well, I say Linux days, the LAMP days, doing Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, running little web servers and playing with stuff. I played with MySQL some then, and then I've used it some on hosting, but I don't mess with databases or SQL as much as I used to. I used to write a ton of SQL statements for stuff all the time when I was programming at National Instruments, but I don't mess with it near as much as I used to. Occasionally do a SQL statement or something, trying to run a front end database query on a website for WordPress or something. But yeah, just not as much as I used to for sure. Nowadays, mostly I'm messing with small to medium businesses, people who are big enough to need IT, but not big enough to need a full-time IT person. And so do a lot of router installs, configurations and replacements, switches, networking. I've done whole office build outs for people with like 20 offices, little cubes in an office, getting all the network cables run to all the walls, the Ethernet drops, jacks installed, built out the closet, mounted the rack, installed all the switches and routers and components, got everything connected. I do a lot of software troubleshooting for people, a lot of spyware scans and cleanups, and just dealing with broken printers or weird error messages that pop up, or like at the beginning when I was talking about Windows had the buggy update that's been causing the problems with Explorer, not completing searches correctly and hanging afterwards. Just a lot of stuff like that. And for whatever reason, I guess one of the things I've ended up with a lot throughout my career is basically ended up having to do troubleshooting for just weird problems that people can't explain. I'm very good at investigating and crawling down the rabbit hole and figuring out what's going on and trying to find resolution for people who are about to pull their hair out or poke their eyes out. So, first move the sharp objects and scissors away and then look for a tech solution. So that's kind of what I do for people most of the time. So, yes, that would be awesome, Subha. I'd look forward to getting together again soon, man. The pandemic has been rough. I am isolated enough. It has been tough. So yes, I'm looking forward to seeing people again in person. And with that, it is 8:01 p.m. That hour flew by as usual. And I really appreciate everybody who stopped by. I'm here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook and on YouTube. I bring topics that I think are fun to discuss, but everything can go off the rails completely with topics you bring to discuss or questions that you have. If I don't know the answer, I'm just going to tell you straight up, I don't know the answer to that. If I can find it, I'll look for it for you and send you in the right direction if I think somebody else can answer it. But if I do know, I'm happy to share my knowledge with you. I've always liked helping people. I think that's part of what guided me towards IT in the first place, is it felt nice to have people always thanking you when you left, like, oh my, you were the best today. You saved my life. You fixed my computer and I can function again. And sometimes it's true. Sometimes people are just very emotional, but either way, I enjoy helping people, so that's what I'm doing here. And I'm going to tune out, go get some dinner, see my kids, and I will catch everybody here again at 7 p.m. next Thursday, Central Standard Time. Y'all have a great night. Thanks for stopping by. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.